A tragic tale. Cindyana Santangelo's quest for a bigger bottom ultimately led to her death. Prosecutors say the Hollywood actress had illegal silicone butt injections back in March performed by Libby Adame, now on trial for her death. In closing arguments Tuesday, prosecutors told the jury she was negligent.
No medical license. She admitted to the police, doesn't even have a nursing license, maybe has some sort of certificate.
Adame's defense attorney told the jury
she did not do it.
Last year, Adame and her daughter Alicia Galaz of Riverside were convicted of a similar crime, involuntary manslaughter. The case dates back to 2019 when mother and daughter injected silicone into Carissa Rajpal's butt at her home in Sherman Oaks.
These actions speak volumes, Your Honor. They speak of selfishness, cowardice, and a fundamental disregard for human life.
We live in a crazy world. Now, as of a few days ago, a California woman in the United States of America, known as the Bat Lady, was found guilty in connection with the death of actress Cindyana Santangelo, which, according to investigators, was caused by a failed illegal butt silicone injection session. Now, you hear me keep saying butt, and I just hope you get it the way it actually is. Butt here is B-U-T-T, and it refers to the rear side. So this so-called Bat Lady is by name Libby Adame. Some also pronounce it Libby Adame, and she is 55 years old. And she was convicted of second-degree murder and also with the offense of practicing medicine without a license. And you would think that, oh, maybe this is just a regular case of someone who has a skill but is not yet licensed and is trying to help. Please, this is not an example of such. This is a classic case of a woman and her daughter, actually, who are driven by taking advantage of the seeming insecurities of people about how they look to cash in on a rainy day. Now, Libby Adame was not doing this alone. She was doing this with her daughter. That's the thing. They are a mother and daughter duo, and they solicit people who want to enhance their butt, and they do it in a very, very nasty way, because there are certified procedures for going about this. Procedures that the medical authorities have actually sanctioned as approved. But Libby Adame and her daughter are not doing this. Per reports, it's been indicated that they rather resort to injecting silicone and other substances into the rear end of their patients in an effort to enhance their butt, which I think is very, very crazy, because it means that it's going to react directly with their bloodstream. And that, according to medical experts, adversely affects their heart, their kidneys, and sometimes even their brains. And I'm sure you'll be wondering, why would somebody be doing this? Well, it's for the money. It's just for the money. And she has an unrepentant spirit. And guess what? The current victim, Cindyana Santangelo, is actually not the first victim of Libby Adame. That is to say that Libby Adame has actually claimed some victims before this current one in the person of Cindyana Santangelo. And I'm sure you will be wondering, then what is going on to the extent that she's been able to do this to people in the past and she's still able to continue on doing it? And I would say it's a very good question, and we'll get to that. But talking about Cindyana Santangelo as a victim, she's actually a Hollywood star. Yeah, she's a Hollywood star. And she's a mother of two and appeared in roles in Hollywood, particularly on a show called Married with Children, and then the ER, the popular medical series, ER, and multiple iconic music videos. This issue occurred on the 24th of March 2025 after Cindyana Santangelo was rushed to the hospital after undergoing this nasty, unprofessional, and uncertified birth procedure at the hands of Libya Dame and her daughter. Now, her cause of death was ruled as a fatal embolism from a silicone injection. So, that was how 58-year-old Cindyana Santangelo just passed. And it's very unfortunate. She's 58. She leaves behind 2 kids and a whole beautiful family. I looked her up during my research and I felt so bad for her because personally I feel that she didn't need whatever she was looking for, which unfortunately led her to the doorstep of Libya Dame. And Libya Dame in herself and her daughter, knowing very well they are not sanctioned to put up this practice, and also knowing very well they've already caused the death of some people, I'm just flabbergasted by the fact that with knowing all these things, they went ahead to still administer the same procedure that has taken lives on Cindyana Santangelo. Cold world indeed. So, let's look at what I mean by saying that Cindyana Santangelo isn't the first victim of Libya Dame and her daughter. And you appreciate what I'm saying better. So, Adame was already on probation from an involuntary manslaughter case over the fatal bat injections that would unfortunately claim the life of an adult film star called Carissa Rajpal in 2019. Now, at the time, Carissa Rajpal was just 26 years old and she had moved from South Africa to the United States of America to promote her career in the adult film industry. And the pursuit of this would link her to the doors of Libya Dame and her daughter for the main purpose of getting them to enhance her bat, to promote her brand in the adult film industry. And I think that this is another unfortunate bit of the whole issue, because she was just 26 years old, and in her case, she patronized Libya Dame 3 times, to the point of even going on social media and posting the entire procedure as it was ongoing. She went to her social media page and she posted it there, talking about the fact that she's enhancing herself. You know, she was so confident in the procedure that she felt that it was going to literally build up her image. But if you look at her as she was even before the procedure, I don't know about others, but I think that she was as stunning as she looked. Same applies to Cindyana Santangelo, and it's very unfortunate. But then you see, someone was also passing a comment about the fact that he doesn't understand why some women resort to going to people like Libya Dame for procedures like butt enhancement and other things. And I told this person that it's not that straightforward. Sometimes it's the societal narrative. Some of these women out there, like Libya Dame, although they know they are frauds, they've pushed that narrative of what they do out there so much. They've put their business in people's faces to the extent people think of them as soon as they try to get an enhancement. So they make themselves seem legitimate, even though they know very well that they aren't. And I would say that, unfortunate as it is, Cindyana Santangelo was just another victim. And, you know, with the initial demise of the first victim, Carissa Rajpal, in 2019, Libya Dame and her daughter were put on trial. They were actually charged with the demise of Rajpal because of their medical procedure, and they were put on trial. But then they denied being responsible, and they were still held up until 2024, where they were discharged. So they did time served after they were found guilty, but they were released afterwards just last year on probation. So you would have expected that if that's the case, then they should be reformed and everything should be fine. But unfortunately, unrepentant as they are, the moment they were released, they came back in to the same business and then found the victim in the person of Cindyana Santangelo. And that's a very painful thing, honestly. I don't know if Cindyana Santangelo was aware of what transpired between Libby Adem and her practice and the now deceased Carissa Rajpal. Because if she did, then definitely she would have known that these people's practice is shady and dangerous and a life has allegedly been claimed by them. And that's the bit. I've always been of the impression that when you want to sign on a service, especially one that submits you to someone who claims to be a professional and gives the person access to your health, your well-being, and your person, it's very important you do due diligence. And that due diligence should go beyond word of mouth, because if you limit it to word of mouth, sometimes you may actually be asking people who have already been deceived without their knowing, and they'll just pass on the cock and bull story they bought in being deceived back to you. And you think, oh, due diligence complete, these guys are legit, let me sign on. And you may unfortunately be signing on to your death warrant. So for me, I always say that it's important you have a hierarchy of due diligence that encompasses a lot of things. Of course, word of mouth will be there. Go on, do the internet searches, ask within the industry. Sometimes you may exhaust 2 or 3 forms of due diligence, and it's rather the 4th one which may bring something up. So you should not be relenting in your pursuit of due diligence when it comes to such services. I don't know whether Cindyana Santangelo actually pursued this, but some way, somehow, she was able to trust Libby Adem to do a good job. It's even been reported that, for example, with Rajpal, Carissa Rajpal, the procedure was done at the private residence of Libby Adem and her daughter, and that they actually move with the equipment, or let me say, the apparatus that they perform this procedure with. And it creates a situation where they will probably be doing this in an unhealthy manner and would also be doing this in an unregulated space with regards to the particular practice they are putting out. So you realize that these guys are having a total disregard for human life and are definitely being led by money. Exactly. And this is where it gets very painful, because she's been found guilty. She may do a number of years, but for lives like Carissa Rajpal and Cindyana Santangelo, these lives are lost. Loved ones are grieving. No matter the fact that Libby Adem has been found guilty with her daughter, it still doesn't bring back Cindyana Santangelo. At the age of 58 years old, I believe Cindyana Santangelo was at a point in her life where everything had settled in beautifully and she was just enjoying the fruits of her labor. She was happily married, she had her kids, they had their fiancés. Look her up on social media. You see that this lady was really vibrant and full of life. She actually wasn't sick. She just went to enhance a part of her being. And unfortunately, this so-called bat lady in the person of Adem, Libby Adem, would unfortunately do something to her that in the end did not achieve the result she was looking for, but rather led to a situation where she actually lost her life in total. So at this point, the question is, which was better? Being alive without that enhancement, or now losing your life after trying to get this enhancement? Of course, I don't think she knew she would lose her life. If she did, I don't think she would have even ventured to attempt to get this procedure. But that's the unfortunate bit. Let me know what you think about the comment section. And this is becoming one too many, but I'm hoping that an example will be made of Libya Dame and her daughter in the years ahead. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.